We're at Kittigazwit, right at the mouth of the East Channel on the Mackenzie River Delta. This here used to be a camp, a community of Inuvik back in the late 1800s, the early 1900s. And at one time, Kittigazwit here used to have approximately 2,000 people that were right along the spit here, all the way out towards the Beaufort Sea. And it was back, I think it was the early 1900s, that the flu epidemic came along. One of those epidemics anyways. And a lot of the people died because of the epidemic. And many of the people that were here at Kittigazwit, I believe they relocated to a place called Port Brabant, today better known as Tuktoyaktuk. This is great to be here because I've been here a few times over the years, and to know that many other Inuvik were here. This is Kittigazwit National Historic Site. It's a private historic site that belongs to the Inuvik. There's a lot of history here. This is tons and tons of history here. You can sit here for days and talk about just the history of Kittigazwit, just the history of this part of the world. The Inuvik, this is where the original Inuvik came from. And it was Mangalalukan that were here. And then they moved over to Tuktoyaktuk. That was some of the stories that I heard anyways as a young person growing up and being in this part of the world.
We're at my camp at East Whitefish Station. We come whaling every year, and I've been coming down here since I was knee-high with my parents, and then we took over after they passed away. I take my children and my grandchildren. We do our whaling, our fishing, and our berry picking here, all of July. It's home. Yeah, it's my home. I feel at peace. There's no vehicles. There's used to be no iPads or phones. No, it's really relaxing. There's a lot of work to be done, but it's all worth it in that 1 month because all the food you get here, harvest here, we keep for a whole year. It lasts for a whole year.
I believe that a lot of the people they came into this area because it's right at the mouth of the river system, and in the summertime like this, the belugas come in here, and they calve in this area, and they raise the young beluga out in the shallows at the mouth of this river delta here.
The beluga harvest is really important. That's where we get our blubber, muck duck, dry fish, and we dry the meat so it could last all year. We put them in portions where it would, we separate them, portion them out to last the whole year. Yeah. It has a lot of vitamins that we need. Yeah. And when you eat muck duck, it gives you a lot of energy. Yeah. It's not like the store-bought where they put all the chemicals and they say there's lots of this vitamin. Yeah. We need that food to eat. It's part of us.
Really slow, how come?
Because it has a whale. It has a whale.
This is mipku. It's dried whale jerky. So it's the muscle of the whale. And you dry it in the sun. And if you want to, you throw it in the smokehouse. But every once in a while, you just come out and you turn it over. Let the sun get at the other side. Dries it out faster. And you can actually, you can pull at it. some people, they really pull at it like this to get it more spread out, like that, so the air can get at it, so it dries better.
For someone that's never tasted it, what does it taste like?
It's really quite, tastes like, it's got a lot of iron in it. So it tastes pretty strong, but it's really, really good. I don't know what it's similar to. But you can definitely taste it's got iron in it. Really, really dark meat, but it's great stuff. It's really, really good stuff. It lasts a long time once you dry it.
So they used to be able to get the caribou. They were able to get the beluga in the summertime from the Beaufort Sea over here. They were able to get the fish from around the Beaufort and right in along the river system here. The caribou, I believe in them days, the moose, I don't think they came this far north along the river system. But they also got, they probably got some seals out here too. There was a lot of, I believe there was a lot of food here when our ancestors used to live here. And they used to have, this used to be a thriving part of the Inuit world, right here at Kittigaswit.
Cool, well, we're here at the ice house. We came here, we dug for about 4 days with jackhammers and picks and axes. And we were able to get this hole. It's about 12 feet deep. It's starting to fill in with ice again. So we're gonna have to come back and smash down the walls and keep digging here, but it's freezing. It's keeping things cold, so it's working, so we're pretty excited about that. We've built a little bit of a berm around it so the water can't keep rushing in, and then we've put some wood down, and then eventually we're gonna build a house over top to keep the sun off, to keep it frozen, and keep the rain from falling in it. And then we'll have an ice house. And we'll put a big bin down there so we can lift the bin up and down, and we can get our muktuk and fish and all that stuff, keep it frozen, and then Claire won't have to run a generator anymore and won't have to use her freezers, so this will be really nice for her. And it's been a pretty fun little project. It's a lot of work, pretty back-breaking, just jackhammer all day, but it's a little bit easier than pickaxe like they used to do, or bones and rocks. So we got a little spoiled with modern technology. And then I'll just get you down here and I'll show you. This way they'll be able to store it down here and keep it frozen, keep it fresh. They'll have their dry fish that they're making out here. They'll be able to actually keep fish raw and freeze them right away instead of having to dry them, so that they can bring some of that home. You can see the ice right here. It's cold down here. The bugs don't want to come down about lower than this. It's too cold for them. So it's good, it's working.
They passed down, and that's when we really found out that our drum dancing was really just about lost. We didn't have very many left. There was my parents, Martha Harry, my father George Harry, and my auntie Sarah Tingmeak, and were the ones that really helped us to get back on our feet with drum dancing. I wasn't much of a help because I couldn't be with drummers and dancers, because I was told that they were, because I was following the Lord and really believing my pastor. He said sometimes when they drum dance, he saw that done before. That was when he was in another place. When they would drum dance, he would be calling the evil spirit to the place where they were drumming, and they would go all night drumming and dancing. That's what I was so afraid of, so I never really was into drum dancing. The only time that I really started was when Nuki and Auntie Sarah told me that you have to come back here, you have to come in and help us because your parents are gone and we have no one to take their place. They were teaching at Sam School, they were teaching their students how to drum dance in the afternoons. They just probably started a year before then, and Auntie Sarah said, "Look at me, I'm not getting young. We need you to help us." So I went in there and I started helping their drum dancing. I knew how to drum dance all along because I was just a little girl. I might be a little baby when I started watching drum dancing. I used to watch them drum dance, even by themselves at home.
Our language is dying. It's slowly disappearing, and this will enable us to pass on the language, even though it's at a minor level that's not fluent. It will be, to me, it'll be like they'll be the storytellers of the future, to me.
Why I'm so involved with the language and anything to do with the language and culture, tradition, it's because I don't want my language to die. Today, it's only sleeping. I say that because I hear of so many people, so many places, different communities, different countries that started their language all over again. And the love of my language is because of those drummers and dancers that passed on. There's lots of them that were only speaking in Inuit, in only when they're drum dancing, you never hear one word in English. When they talk amongst each other, that's all they did was talk in their language. And today, that's what my heart is standing on, because I want to keep the language going, and it's really falling asleep. I hate to say this, but I'm probably the youngest person could speak, sit down and have a conversation with somebody that knows the language in Tibetan. But there's no such thing as gone. It's not gone. They say it just fall asleep and it's going to come back on. Because I see that, the reason I say that too is because I see a lot of them using the app. There's young people, that the young women that have children say that they hear their children using the app when they're in their room by themselves. They would see them using the app, so I know it's coming back one of these days, and it's so important to me, and I wish that in this whole part of our country, we need all the help we need. I want people to help. I want people to know that how important it is to keep our elders alive. Through the language and also through drum dancing, that's where we keep our elders alive today. Because they say that our language is an important part of our lives, being the Inuit of Western Arctic and all over the north. It's very important to us. If you want to see your grandparents alive today, help to keep that language alive.
When I left residential school in 1959, I went home for the first time in about 7 years that I spent there. And in those years, I was subjected to removal of my Inuvik language. And today I have the hardest time to try to speak it. I've done it when I was at the age of 7 years old. I spoke to mom and dad and my siblings in my language. And because of the residential school experience, that's been wiped out. I couldn't speak it, and I have a tough time today trying to speak it to anyone. And it's the kind of brainwashing that I received that my language was of the devil. Isn't that something? Nothing but misery throughout my life because they took away who I was and who I'm supposed to be. With that kind of, treatment, it damaged me. It caused me misery, and lots of it.
There was just about all the adults spoke in Wellington back then. Yeah. And the kids would understand some. But that when you started going to residential school, you were there 8 months of the year. And you'd lose the understanding of some words, but you'd get it back in that 2 months you were with your parents. But then you'd lose it again when you go back to the hostel. Yeah. So it was really a struggle with the language. Yeah. And it still is today.
And the kind of things that we were subjected to should never have happened. That's part of the chapter in my life I'd like to see behind me, and that's where it's going to stay. I have taken steps throughout my life to counter all the negatives that I've experienced and replace them with positive things. And along with that, I had to re-educate myself.
I hope it keeps going. If something happens to me, I hope it keeps going. And I know in my heart it will, because all my kids and my son-in-laws, they all know what to do. They were all taught down here. Like, there are times where I don't even have to go down to the river. They're doing it. Like when they harvest the whale or make the dry fish. And they all like to pick berries, so. Now we have my grandchildren involved. I have a granddaughter who started cutting fish when she was 6 years old. Now she's professional at making dry fish. I have a grandson who's come every year, and he can explain. If a tourist asks him to explain how you did this, or he can explain it. Yeah, and he's only 8. Yeah, and all my grandchildren are all willing to learn, which is nice. And I know it will keep going after I'm gone. Yeah.
Look at this. You can't beat this. It's just such a beautiful part of the world. It's always nice to travel through this here part of the world and experience it one more time. I think in this day and age, if we want to be out here hunting and trapping and trying to live off the land, I think we also have to make sure that we try to encourage our children to go to school and also to get an education. The hunting, we can come out here and hunt all night, but be darn sure you try to go to school tomorrow morning. I think it's very important that we got to be able to, it's good to teach the kids what we know from a few years back, and then also try to teach them so that they understand when they get a little bit older in life that, a little piece of cooked mukta goes a long ways.